Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Hey, special guest.
Yay, Brian's here.
Because today...
Now, I don't mean to just downplay Brian's specialness, but is it really special
Not so special anymore.
It's more special than us.
We've done 428 of these prior to this, and Brian's only
like
been
your
in
brother
about
showing
20
up for the
of them,
family reunion. You just kind of knew it was going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, it's more special than because we're not special at all.
I understand.
So today, I think on last week's show, while we were recording, Brian texted us that he was at a screening of Star Trek The Motion Picture on the Paramount lot. I'm sure it's fine to say that because I checked with you.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about we'll talk here about the Paramount lot, but we'll also talk about the reissue of Star Trek The Motion Picture in lovely 4K, the director's edition, as they're calling it.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say they're spoilers because if you haven't seen the movie by now,
Thank God.
It's 43 years old.
Yep.
this is almost, you guys listen to the Smartless podcast. They always refer to somebody's sister. I don't remember his name, her name, but they're every like question is, and Michelle's, just so you know. So Daryl, just so you know, there's no spoilers here.
Daryl, if you haven't seen Star Trek The Motion Picture, stop right now. Go watch it. Come
In
back.
fact,
Go
watch
back
all
40
three versions.
How many years so is
It's
it was
43 years old.
1970, December 7th, 1979.
Yes, I do. I have it written, a note written in the back of my
December
Starfleet
7th.
technical
Think about
manual.
December 7th.
After
a
I
day
saw
that
it.
shall live forever in infamy. Okay. For two reasons.
What was that?
That was my watch. I got to say, since the last watch update, it talks to me a lot and at random times. So
That's annoying. That's like Alexa decides, do you know I can tell you this? And I'm like,
yeah.
Alexa, this one's not called Alexa. Just leave me alone. I don't want to hear from you. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk more Star Trek. There was a Star Trek convention in Chicago that we should have gone to, but
Yes.
Todd did mention it, I think, a while back, but we all sort of dropped the ball on it. But they announced a bunch of figures and stuff, so we'll talk about that too. But let's go some random. Brian, you're special, so you can go first.
Okay. I was recently driving across the country for a reason I will talk about a little bit later, another show. So I was driving from California to the East Coast and drove through Kansas. And in Hutchinson, Kansas, is a little space museum called the Cosmosphere. If you're ever anywhere near Kansas, you must go to this museum. Imagine every cool space thing the Smithsonian has in DC crammed into 1/10 the space.
Really?
Oh, wow.
They have Gus Grissom's Mercury capsule, the one that was
that's
lost
right.
and recovered and restored. They have Gemini 10. They have the command module from Apollo 13. They have Jim Lovell's moon suit, never used moon suit.
How did they get all this
yeah.
stuff?
It's incredible museum.
Is
they
it
have
affiliated with NASA in any way?
I didn't do enough research. I heard about the place and I stopped and I did a whirlwind tour. They have a full-size Gemini Titan rocket erected in its launch platform. You can walk under outdoors at the show.
Road trip.
It's
Wait,
incredible.
haven't we? I know we haven't been there, but we've been to Kansas a couple
few
times.
Yeah.
And I do remember seeing something called the Cosmosphere.
And it is in the
And
middle.
I think we drove
of nowhere.
past it.
Why
What city?
why it's in Hutchinson, Kansas? It is
Hutchinson,
like
Kansas. Is that near Kansas City?
no. It's an
do
hour
we
and
know
a
the
half, 2 hours
Cosmosphere
outside
then?
of Kansas City.
Okay.
I think we
It's
saw a
South
billboard
Central.
or something.
South Central Kansas.
It does sound familiar.
Maybe there's something else called the Cosmosphere because I know I've driven past one.
I have a
nowhere
bunch
else.
of pictures. I'll post you guys.
That's
so you can
awesome.
Look at.
Yeah,
It
I'd love to see that. That
is
sounds great.
sensational museum. It's a must see if you're anywhere near the middle of the country.
Jim
Yeah,
Bush,
great.
if you've been there, let us know. I'm
Yes.
sure you've been there.
Yep.
He's in Kansas, right?
Yes.
Isn't
The
Kansas
two
City in two
Kansas
places?
cities are confusing. Okay, I just say.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yep.
Anyway, that's cool. Whoever. Todd.
On June 10th, I'm going to be very excited to see For All Mankind Season 3.
No kidding.
Really?
Is that coming up that fast?
I'm writing
this
that
just
down.
came out today. There is
I did
a
not know that.
sort of teaser. I mean, literally, there's a shot of 4 people walking on, wait for it, Mars. Okay.
Oh.
Set in 1995. So they jumped 12 years.
Good jump again. Yeah.
And it looks good. I'm excited. So
Well, that was the final scene in the last episode, was them doing that time jump with the Nirvana song playing, and they were
Yep.
showing Mars. Yeah.
Yep. And
That's
so
cool.
so yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah, my God. I tell you,
What a year. Yeah.
you know, May, June, I might not leave the house. So
No need.
You'll be
to.
wishing there was a pandemic so you could stay
I
home.
tell you, there's a lot of stuff.
Too.
And damn, this looks good. I will say it's interesting because like when we watched this show initially, we were the only ones I knew that were watching it, and I would explain it to people, and they'd be like, "Apple what?" And it's like it's getting a lot of good buzz. I mean, it's very highly rated, and it's you know, people that have seen it think it's fantastic, and I agree
Who's
with
going to the Mars? Was it what's his face, the Admiral? You think, or is it someone completely different?
I bet he's running things at this point. So
Where's his hot wife? Is she too old now?
we'll see. We will see. There
The
are
girl's
several
like
cast members
26,
who are not returning.
and she has to play,
I'm not going to
like-
give any spoilers, but from what I read, this is not spoilers because you can read it too. But anyways,
Carol.
there are several people returning, but there are several people not. And if you
Yeah.
think about
Let
it,
me guess. The husband and wife couple aren't returning.
I guess that would be a given, huh? So-
Good guess.
Or maybe
Hey,
the
but
one
you know
who
what?
had cancer
At the pace
isn't
of
coming
their
back.
technology versus our technology, because we gave up on the space program, they could be brought back as holograms by now.
Exactly.
So we'll see. So they could have been clones. I would take a Tracy clone. I'm just saying. So
There you go. Someone's calling me.
I was going to say, sounds like somebody's phone's ringing.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
We hear buzzing. Yeah.
I guess it's called from the same stupid number.
Barry,
It's
what do you
nothing to
got
me.
while Dave?
While
not
Dave
answering.
answers the phone. I'm so excited because not only do I get to watch this movie anytime I want, but now I get to own something from it if I choose to. The Terminator Dark Fate auction
Yes.
coming up at Prop Store,
Very excited about that.
April 22nd to May 6th.
I'm not gonna fucking call you Carl.
We'll have to look
so
at that.
If you want the tank top that the female not quite Terminator wore, you can buy that.
Do they have anything in threes? We need to get something in threes.
What could there possibly be in threes from this one?
No.
Shell casings. Yeah.
Carl's.
I don't think there's
Carl's
even a
drapery
gallery
sign-
up
it was
yet.
I remember a lot of rebar. I do remember a lot of rebar. I think there could be. We could probably get some rebar in threes.
Yeah, I don't think there's even a gallery up yet of stuff. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I just clicked on a featured lots. You can get Sarah Connor's arrival at Felipe's costume, or you can get
There's a lot of costumes.
Annie's Arius motor battle damage costume. There's a pen of some kind. Oh, there's something with 3 skulls, Dave.
Perfect.
Okay,
There you go.
Done.
we're in. We're in.
Done.
But
It's
yeah,
an American
so-
classic. You need to own a
I
part.
guess they won't be making a follow-up since they're liquidating their inventory of items.
They would make all new stuff anyway.
They would
I
totally
know,
make
I'm
all this
teasing.
stuff.
So yeah, so that's coming up. Terminator Dark Fate auction. There you go.
Cool. Very exciting.
Dave, what do you got?
Couple things. So Todd, to watch the Batman like the 5th and 6th time, it's on HBO Max
On the
next
18th,
Monday.
That's one of my things. Yep.
Cool.
That's crazy how quickly that came.
It is crazy. I was talking to somebody today who said that he was hesitant to see it because like he didn't want to see emo Batman and stuff like this. I said, no, it's really good. We got talking about it, and then I said, and I said, but you can't hurry because it can't be in theaters for more than a couple more weeks. And he's like, oh really? And I'm like, because it'll be on TV. Yeah. So I guess
Well, when did it come out? It's got to be over a month ago, right?
it is over a month. It was 6 weeks. It was going to be a 6-week cycle.
Yeah.
That doesn't
So-
even seem like 6 weeks. Jeez.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. But
Wait, didn't it come out the 4th or something?
I feel like you and I, because you and I
We
saw
saw it a
few
couple days before.
it came out.
yeah,
It hasn't. Well, I guess it's 6 weeks probably. I
Yeah,
can't
by
believe it's
next
already
Monday it'll be 6 weeks.
It's already the middle of freaking April next week.
Yeah.
Todd was talking about the Batman, the Batmobiles he was picking up, and you guys didn't mention that Jazik Dioramas, the same guys that are doing the 1/6 1966 Batmobile that I'm subscribing to, are making a 1/8 the Batman, the Batmobile.
Oh,
wow! Do I need 4 Batmobiles? I might from this
1/8 scale. That's going to be a pretty big car.
Now, I'd have to go to 1/16. I would have to go 1/16 because I've already pre-ordered the Batman for it. Though I also pre-ordered his motorcycle, so. Yeah.
So,
I'm now going to
need the 1/6.
Big car.
I'm going to need the 1/6 Batman.
1/12 would be nice, actually, in that kind of thing.
So
there are Batmobiles. I have some other stuff. Does anyone?
Yeah,
have
I had another one too, but
right.
one of you may hit it. So,
Brian, did you have anything else? We'll go around.
the
again.
Batmobile. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it up for Todd. That was
Good.
it.
Todd, why don't you go?
my current favorite Star Trek series released a little mini teaser trailer today. That would be Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, I was gonna say, if there's a current favorite, I didn't.
There's a current favorite. So they come back with season 3, and there's some interesting stuff happening. So I am excited for that. But I'm more excited for it becoming my second favorite.
That is my current favorite Star Trek series too. Active Star Trek series.
Yes. And it will, like I said, I will be very happy to see it displaced. But again, happy to see it come back. So. No.
All right, I'll go with another one since we're talking about our current favorite Star Trek series. My current not favorite Star Trek series, Picard, announced season 3. The middle of season 2, they're already announcing casting for season 3. And they've basically announced the entire bridge crew of Next Generation is coming back for season 3. So Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, Brent Spiner, Michael Dorn, LeVar Burton, and Gates McFadden.
Yeah, my theory is this is going to be set in a nursing home. And they're just going to be like sitting around, and it's like, and he's just going to be engage, and it's like, here, Mr. Picard, here's your medication.
I'm just guessing they're they're going to wrap this story up, which in and of itself is fine. Yeah, because let's wrap a story up in one season. I mean, and
it says in the article I'm looking at on TrekCore.com that this is the concluding chapter in the Picard tale. So, have they officially announced season 3 is the end of it?
Out. Okay.
It's basically a bunch of people sitting around a ready room type table discussing whether he's actually Picard or not. It's like, is it the same dude or is it not the same dude? I'm right here, people. I'm right here. It's like, I don't know. He's dead. There was a funeral. He's dead.
It is interesting that they've announced it in advance of season 2 even wrapping up, but I guess that's.
I wonder if it was for this convention or something.
I think it could be.
If they're doing season 3 and they're saying this is the end, they're going to kill him. Come on, they got to get.
Already killed him. They're going to give him a death. Killed him. So again. Yeah, no, I think so too. And I also think that again, I think a lot of these things are driven by casting, and this is a lot of people to keep quiet. Yeah, so you maximize the buzz when you can. There's enough people that said that. Like Star Trek would have to get back on their knees in order to get Paramount would have to get back on their knees to get them back involved in Star Trek. That are Michael Dorn showing up here that
don't work for a few years and your attitude.
Was just what I was going to say.
Last time you saw Michael Dorn,
keep their mouths shut.
Plus, everywhere he goes, people go, "Why aren't you on Picard?"
Yeah, exactly. So,
meanwhile, Star Trek is on a roll right now, so you might as well try to keep good or bad, but there's plenty of it.
Well, there's certainly a lot of it. Whether it's on a roll or not, I think is
but Picard is in the difficult middle episodes. A lot of stuff goes on, but nothing actually happens.
Yeah.
I watching that last week,
season 1.
We're still in random, and I'm just going to say, watching that last week, I was thinking, do we expect this to be better than Star Trek? Because, I don't think this is a bad Star Trek episode. I just don't think these things are elevated to the best. And we have we have raised expectations from the movies and from because these little mini compressed series and stuff. I mean, if this was part of a 3-parter, I think it would have been perfectly fine.
That's the thing. I
don't think it was ever as good as we think. We want to think it was.
Which
because
one?
We're thinking
regular
of it
Star
at its
Trek
best out of a gajillion.
Of course,
episodes.
you remember Spock's brain because it's awesome.
That's right.
But
yeah.
It's these damn non-episodic shows that just drag on.
it's just
and
the
but
on
no
and
one
on.
does an
So-
episodic series anymore. I'm hoping Strange New Worlds is.
Dave and I talked about this
that's
over the
what they're
weekend.
saying.
Did you need to see Agnes singing Pat Benatar song in the middle of an episode? I did not need to see that.
It's
No.
useless.
And you didn't because someone dubbed her voice, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Her character broke into song at a party. Like,
Yes.
What was
Yeah,
that all about?
I mean, no, you're right. It's hard to differentiate between there's good episodes and there's not as good episodes, but when they're part of the same storyline, it brings the whole storyline.
when an
back.
episode is now 6, when an episode is now an arc and it's 6 episodes
Hours.
long,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this would be an average episode. We just have to live with it for 6 nights.
Yeah.
So-
Although I've got to say, when she pointed the shotgun at the queen, spoiler alert coming, I was like, just shoot her. She'll never do it.
just really just
Boom.
just
Like,
do it.
oh my gosh, he actually shot her.
It's yeah,
That was
no,
a
again,
surprise.
and it's not. I think it's better than last season. I really do. I'm
I agree.
I'm marginally interested in what's going on. I
There's
do
definitely
like some of the
something
hooks that
happening, and
I like
it
some
has
of the
to
hooks
happen
they've got
quickly.
into with the, they leaned into the time travel thing instead of just like ignoring that it ever happened before. There's complete acknowledgments of the fact that they're where no one has been many times, and I think it's working on that level, but
So, all right.
I have
prediction then.
I have another Picard random.
Hang on one sec before you go there. So, prediction, and I said this to Dave when I saw him over the weekend. Rios stays behind,
oh yeah,
Yeah.
right?
And screws up time. Yeah.
And does it
Yeah.
matter though? Then we'll never see him again anyway.
but the
Right.
doctor lady should go forward in time with them because then it will just be like the way
Because nobody else can save the whales, so she's got
That's
to.
right. And so-
There's no doctors in the future.
All right, so this is a
'cause
totally
what
random
you wanna
thing.
Be? You want to be a Hispanic man in the 21st century with no documentation. That's what you really want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true too. That's not a good pace.
Before Brian goes to his last thing, on one of the model building Facebook groups I'm in, there's a Star Trek model building group. There's a guy that's been building a pickup truck, and it only finally hit me yesterday when he posted the finished pictures of it. It's the blue pickup truck from Star Trek 4.
Oh,
And he
boy.
To
actually
save the
put-
whales truck.
And he put the I Love Whales bumper sticker on it and the whole thing.
Boy, that's a deep freaking.
that is yeah.
a little too deep.
Yet another brag. I was on that set actually.
Were you?
Yeah. When my same friend that has ran the Xerox store called us up and said they're shooting Star Trek up at Will Rogers Park, and we went up there and there was the blue pickup truck with Saved Whales on the back, and we were able to deduce the entire plot of the movie from that bumper sticker. We really were.
It's not a reach.
So Picard random. If you didn't know to look for it, you didn't see it. But in the scene, in one of the scenes when they're in the NASA museum chasing the astronaut, behind her is not Beecher, Nomad.
Yeah.
The model
I
of
didn't
Nomad
see that.
is
I didn't see
sitting
that.
behind
Yep.
him. Yeah. If you look at the original, if you remember the original exploded drawing of what the original probe looked like, my friend Paul knew it. My ex-roommate built it for them, and they put it in the background. It was in the museum. The original exploded
So the
model of
yeah.
Nomad.
That was in this past episode.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'll have to
Wow,
go back
that's
and
pretty
look.
fun.
Overshadowed by the spacecraft that she was talking about,
Yes.
which we had previously seen in the opening credits of Enterprise and nowhere else. So
and they never referenced what it
okay.
was. And
they
then-
never
and
referenced
she
what it
pointed
was,
up
but
to
it's got the same letters on it, and that she called it Spike, and that is the only
okay.
unidentified ship in that whole montage. It's the because everything else is something we know, and now we know what it is after.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch at least
Just
2 minutes
do
of
with the
it,
sound
but
off because this
not
song
much
is
more.
just annoying. It
Yeah.
always was. So
Any other random? I got So apparently they're going to use Spock's full name in Strange New Worlds, which is weird.
Who's going to pronounce it?
Shing Tijang Spock. Like, why do they even need to go down this stupid road? I don't get it.
Is it going to get mentioned once, like while they're in his Ponfar or something? Like,
No one else. That's how when his wife is yelling at him, she uses his full name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Or when he
I
gets in
think it's-
trouble,
But I
right?
also think it's like, I mean, it kind of makes sense because, they pretty much only use like 6 characters, and I would say that Spock is probably the pronunciation of his name that the Earthers can do, and it's like I mean, most of the students that I have at my school from China and from Korea, whatever, are hairy, and I like this. They use Western names, so Spock may be the easy thing to go by. It always has seemed odd that all Vulcans' names are pretty similar and pretty rudimentary, and you would think that they would at some point just run out of those.
They all start with S.
S and end with K.
It would be hilarious if they do an audio trick when the person pronounces it in a way that humans could not pronounce it.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like it would be
like
be interesting
dolphin
to say,
noise
well,
or something like that. Yeah,
your tongue doesn't bend quite the right way. So.
yeah, you can't say it. Yeah.
It is odd that they called him Mr. Spock so often. Like, because it's one thing if you're just like using a shortened name, but to add the Mr. in front of it is.
Well, it was Mr. Chekhov, Mr. Sulu, Mr. Spock, Mr. Leslie,
Yeah,
not
Yeah,
Mr.
yes.
Scotty.
that's a
Mr.
nautical
Scott?
thing.
He said Mr. Scott.
And it's
That's a
enlisted-
military thing.
it's commissioned versus non-commissioned, and it's kind of like flexible roles thing. So anyone who's addressed by Mister, you do what they tell you basically, and because they're again the roles are fluid between the what they're, whether they're a command officer or whatever. But yeah, that's it does. I guess Mr. Spock is applied more to him than anybody else. And now we have Mr.
Yeah.
Saru. So, yeah.
All right, Dave, go.
You know
for
what's
some
great?
kind of-
Fanboy Collectibles.
I was like, how is he going to transition out of this?
I waited for silence. Okay, I think Todd may have mentioned it last week, and he probably bought them all. But Hot Toys Moon Knight up for pre-order.
Check.
Get him before he gets them. If you like Chucky, there's Chucky things. There's a couple of those. SH Monster Arts Godzilla Ultima. They make awesome Godzilla stuff, so check those out. But
yeah, they do.
Fanboy's got all the stuff you need. Kotobuki's and Pops, and they have Exo 6s. We're going to talk about those. Hopefully they'll get all the pre-orders. Anything you need, check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Okay.
I have a related Chucky random. If you watched Saturday Night Live last week, well, it's probably on YouTube now. They did an incredible Chucky in HR skit.
Oh, I'll have
really?
to look for that.
Well, that would be
Chucky,
interesting.
why you keep stabbing people? We've talked about this.
That's funny.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And the Chucky animation is amazing. The special effects on the show are like, how'd they do that? Really good.
I've never seen any of those movies. Has anyone seen those?
But
I've
you know,
never
it's one of
seen
those things that you know everything you need to know from the previews.
I saw them when the first few when they came out, just like I used to see all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies back in the 80s. But yeah, I haven't seen a Chucky movie in years. I haven't seen any of the modern remake Chuckies either.
Yeah, there's a series too, even.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you like Chucky, let us know. Okay, Star Trek, the motion picture director's edition. So I guess they recut, re-edited, enhanced the special effects, did all kinds of stuff.
I've got a little info.
Yeah, I was just going to say, before we actually talk about this, could we just take 2 minutes and 42 seconds and play instrumental music as we look at Starfields?
yeah.
I
Well,
swear to God, I thought there was something wrong with my
I
thing.
forget every time. I forget. And then
It's
I
a
remember sitting in the
roadshow
theater
print.
thinking, like,
Come on.
yeah.
Is
So
this
so
broken?
before we dive in, a couple things. So this movie was directed by Robert Wise. Robert Wise directed The Day the Earth Stood Still, West Side Story, Sound of Music. He edited Citizen Kane. Like, this is like a real movie director. Came in, directed this movie.
who
And-
apparently did not own a television.
Well, right, but and I'm not making any excuses for this movie, right? But it's well documented that they rushed the theatrical release, like they ran out of time. So there was stuff that they wanted to do and didn't do that maybe would have made it better in the first place. One of the things that I only just, and maybe I knew this, but I had forgotten, they had recorded ADR for this movie and never got a chance to put it in. So a lot of the dialogue that was in the finished movie was really on-set dialogue that was meant to be replaced. So the performances weren't, in some cases, a little more phoned in than they might have been, because they knew they were going to replace them. And they recorded all the ADR, but then didn't put it in. So, but they did for this new edition. They actually went back in.
It's a famous story that the Paramount, in order to make their year, booked this movie in December 7th, 1979, and told the theaters it was coming, and they booked it in and took all the money, and then went to the filmmakers and went, oh, by the way, you must release this on December 7th, 1979. I don't care you don't have a script. I don't care you don't have a director. I don't care you have to redo all of your special effects again. You will show a movie on December 7th, 1979, or Paramount closes. And that was why it was so rushed.
That's a lot of pressure.
So they rushed it. They didn't, some of it wasn't finished. As you just said, they did a lot of the effects again. The mats didn't line up in some of the effect shots. But for this, so the history on this, right? So then in 1983, they aired it on TV, and it was too short. The version of it to fit in the time slot. So
for two nights. Yeah.
Right. So they went back and said, do you have any extra scenes you can put in? So they went back and found whatever they had cut out. They put a few things back in. Unfinished effect shots. Apparently there was a shot when Kirk is outside trying to recover Spock after he gets spit out, where you could just see the rafters behind him and the wires holding him up on the ABC edition. And I believe that was also the version that went out on DVD. So they remastered this thing in 2001, and they released it on DVD in standard definition. And it has not been updated since that. So the version that we all just saw is the first time that they've actually, let alone made it HD, they've now made it 4K.
Yeah, Robert Wise sat down with the special effects and editors back in the early 2000s and recut the movie. But it was in NTSC. Right. Yeah, it was terrible.
And so at least it was a little bit more.
It was more a little bit his edit, at least.
He cut that movie.
But now what they've done is
he cut that movie without seeing the V'ger special effects. The V'ger special effects were cut in as black film.
Jeez.
And they scored it to black film, saying this effect shot's going to be this long. It's going to be this long. It's going to be this long. And then they dropped those effect shots in the final print.
And they were every bit as long as they said. They totally followed through in that promise. They totally made them that long.
The problem was that they literally they cut it to the frame of time when they told them how long it was going to be. So literally one frame back from that shot, you can see the lights. In the next frame, you see that. So they could not change the edit at all. Once they got the film from the special effects guys, they just had to drop it in.
Right. So
and hope the score matched.
I just wanted to sort of set up a little bit, because we have talked at length about how bad this movie is, right? But a little bit of the history of why it ended up the way it ended up. And then I thought it would be interesting just as a backdrop to whether we liked it or not. And we haven't talked about but none of us have talked about our thoughts on this yet. So this will be the first time we're talking about it. But yeah, the first thing I wrote down was, do we really need an overture and a Starfield at this stage of the game, especially when you're watching it at home?
Remember that at all? And what was that in the?
It was in the original. It was in the original movie. Again, I can remember sitting in the theaters.
The original was just music. The Starfield.
I was thinking okay, main title theme's going to come up. Main title, it's going to be like something. They're going to flash by like iconic images from the series, something, and then it just fades out to nothing, and then they start. And it's like,
so
my understanding though is that it was just music. When we saw it in '79, the Starfield was just added for this.
What they call a roadshow print of a movie is there's always an opening overture. It's usually played over a closed curtain in the theater, back where they had closed curtains in theaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They would play the overture. We used to call it walk-in music, and then the curtains would open and they would show the main title and the movie would start. My My favorite movie, Ice Station Zebra, has exactly the same thing. It has the walk-in music, and then the movie starts, and it did have it, and it's confusing.
I totally forgot that. I thought there was something wrong with my app or something. But
so, Brian, do you want to tell us? Was there anything special about the screening you went to, or was it just walk in, see the movie, and leave? Like when Dave and I saw the Batman.
It was walk and see the movie and leave. They didn't do a very good job of introducing it, I got to say. My friend Darren Dockerman, who was in charge of the special effects on this and worked with Robert Wise back in the day to cut it the first time, I cornered him and talked to him for a little bit, and I noticed that the fonts in the beginning of the credits have that little sparkle along the edges. I thought that you added that sparkle. That sparkle wasn't there in the old print. He said, yeah. And not only is it an added sparkle, but he lifted it from the sparkle effect at V'ger at the end.
Oh,
that's what the sparkles are. It's a reflection of the
that's funny.
Sparkles from the V'ger at the end. Yeah.
Well, those opening credits were so crisp. I actually thought they were completely redone because they looked fantastic. I mean, they were so vibrant.
They did completely redo them. They changed the color the first time. They used to be blue. They changed them to gold.
And well, that's the other thing I read, by the way, is that the movie that we all saw in '79 wasn't properly color corrected or color timed. They didn't have
that's
time
for
to
sure.
do it.
Oh yeah, if you remember the scene in the briefing room, which is now has looking out the back window of the Enterprise. In the original movie theater, when they would cut to anything that had a blue screen in it, all their costumes would change to gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they cut to a close up and it's blue. They cut back to gray. Of course, they fixed all that in the new version.
Crazy.
So who wants to go first?
I mean, the question is why they do this, but I guess of all the movies, some are still worse than others. This had the most technical problems for sure.
It's also the only one that didn't have a version of it in HD or something that was capable of going to 4K.
So, I mean, I guess it made sense, but I mean, I never hated this movie. There's things I liked about it. Is it boring and slow? Yeah, but I mean, it's funny. I can't remember the last time I saw it. I mean, I have it on a couple formats. It could even be 10 years. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But watching it is super crisp. I mean, the picture quality is great, all that. All I'm thinking now, and this is almost the opposite of what I thought when, everything started to be CG. Because I used to think, you watch any of the new CG movies, like, oh my God, all the work that has to go on in a computer. All I was thinking of, like, look at these models, that freaking, those Klingon models. I'm like, the work that went into build these models and the Enterprise is just astounding. So now it's this is really the first time I've watched something where I'm looking back at models and thinking, oh my God, that's a ridiculous amount of work because it's so much easier to do CG stuff now. Yeah. So, I mean, every single thing you saw, the little Spock ship floating around and those all motion control stuff at its infancy, basically.
The first 35 minutes, because I made the exact same mental note. First 35 minutes, there are way more models in this than I ever remember there being in this movie.
Yeah.
And they added, I don't know if they added stuff or it's just the way they cleaned it up, but even when Kirk and Scotty are in the pod going towards the Enterprise and they're looking back towards the space station they had been on, and then you see Earth behind that, like, I don't remember ever noticing the depth and all of those elements being matted into one frame.
They cleaned up all those elements, and they did add a few little ships here and there.
In this versus the director's cut?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I also think, Barry, when's the last time you saw this that you actually paid attention to it?
Well, I remember buying the DVD in 2001 because it was the director's edition, and I think that was probably the last time
that's the thing. But I watched it down in the movie theater, so it's on a big screen. But the last time I watched this was probably on at most a 35-inch screen. Well, you start seeing these on bigger screens, and you really start to appreciate, like, holy crap, these models are super involved.
Yeah, and for me, I think some of it's too that because I build models now, I pay more attention than I probably did even 20 years ago, let alone when I was a kid. But the work that they did on the refit Enterprise is such a beautiful design and model that the flyby didn't bother me at all this time because I was enjoying looking at it so much.
Oh, wait. So wait a minute. The refit Enterprise was in this? I totally didn't notice that.
It's a little long still.
It
is not a little long. I wish it
all.
were longer.
I actually didn't feel the length at all in this viewing. And by the end of this, you're going to tell me I'm crystal sculling, but I'll just cut to the chase. I really enjoyed this movie this time around. And I get it. Like I get what I did.
It is a better movie.
Okay.
The one scene that I still feel like they could completely cut out and it doesn't really change anything is that wormhole slow motion thing. I get why it's there, but it just goes on for too long.
Okay.
It's way too long.
I'll tell you what.
I think it needs to be there, though.
I noticed in the wormhole thing, and this was really obvious in this cut, is they're not moving. The people are not moving the same way. Some people are like going sideways, like going like this. She's sitting there in the navigator. She's doing this. It was very obvious. Okay. It was like the distortion was different depending on where you sat in the bridge and who else you were looking at as you were doing it.
They're acting choices.
Yeah, they're acting choices.
That scene, that meteor in the center of the wormhole and the wormhole effect is the only apogee special effect that survived the film. Everything else was redone.
From this thing.
I
Oh.
get why they need
No.
that scene in there.
Originally in 1970,
Oh, you were saying originally, yeah.
in 1979, Apogee started and they fired them and rehired ILM.
Yeah.
But I get why that scene's there. I think you could lose it and explain. There were a couple of other scenes where you basically, Decker shows that he, knows the ship better than Kirk. But if they were going to keep it, I would wish they would have trimmed that one just a bit.
You could tighten. That's the thing. If you're going to trim that, you could tighten this up. Just like you can tighten the Batman up. I mean, like, it's just too long. I mean, but that totally changes this movie, I almost feel like, I'm not saying I think there's some things that are just like, it's way too long, but you would completely redesign this whole movie. It's just not a fast-moving movie,
Yeah.
and even if you tighten it up, it's not going to help
in the
it.
defense of the Batman, I will say there are probably
I did say that just so he would do that.
too many scenes in that movie. With this, every scene goes on too long.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a different kind of thing. They crammed too much into that movie. They tried to make too much out of this one. Okay, and I understand it's a movie director taking on a TV property and wanting to make it his own thing. I like this. It looked good. It's the best it's ever looked. It looks absolutely amazing. All the things wrong with this movie were not the special effects. Everything that's wrong with this movie persists. Okay? I mean, it's a story they told before, but no one ever says, oh yeah, this is kind of like this. They're surprised by the same thing they were surprised by, in this timeline 8 years earlier.
Yeah, that's Gene Roddenberry's fault.
But they didn't figure it out
Gene
until the
Roddenberry,
end.
also,
I mean,
you can't tell me that, and granted, famously, William Shatner's never seen an episode of Star Trek. You cannot tell me that someone involved in this production didn't look at the script in some point and say, yeah, we did this as an episode. Okay. And I know Robert Wise went to his grave insisting he'd never seen Star Trek and he didn't know about that episode and all that. But I was like halfway through this movie the first time being like, oh, this is going to be an Earth probe. And it's like, and that's the thing. You see, they spent so much money on this movie. They did so many, even like the costumes. I'm watching this now. Everyone has like 3 different uniforms.
I loved those costumes at the time.
I do too.
And I really like the design of this.
If you really want to wear pajamas, it is great to have different sets. But
it made sense at the time. I mean, that's the thing. When you saw the briefing room scene. There's they say 400, but there's probably like 150 people there, all wearing different costumes. What I want to know is, where is all that stuff? Because I haven't seen it.
They don't show up. But I will say this: in terms of costumes, this is way more Logan's Run than it is Star Wars. Okay, if you look at the style of stuff, Okay, you could put these people in the background in Logan's Run. Take the badges off.
But that's
but I'm saying
that's the time. This was 1979. Don't forget.
But what I'm saying is they basically took 70s styles and they made them a little futuristic. They didn't go for a different era. They didn't
I
try
like
to
the
make
design
something
of that. I've always liked those costumes.
Yeah, I had a new appreciation.
I have to
for
mention that before we get away from that briefing room scene with all the people in it, Bijo Trimble was in that scene.
Yeah,
she told us that,
and we saw her.
Yeah.
But where's all that stuff? Did any of that go through the Paramount auction? It's all long gone because there was a ton of stuff in that.
Yeah, there was a lot in there.
I would love to have
So here's a question, and maybe I just don't remember. Maybe it's this edit, but Ilea shows up on the bridge and she talks about her oath of celibacy being on file.
Yeah,
why?
That makes no sense.
What did that have to do with anything?
In the book, she's Deltan, and Deltans emit these pheromones that drive men crazy.
Was that in the original cut though, and then they cut it out of this cut?
It never.
It's always
never made sense.
It never made sense.
It was all off screen.
Yeah, it was in the Bible for the show because she was going to be in phase 2.
Okay,
it was in the Bible in phase 2. Yeah.
That's one of the first.
There's actually shots of her, like test things of her with a really bad fake, rubber ball head wig, wearing
the
a
yellow uniform,
wearing an original series uniform.
Yeah.
But so on the
uniforms, no one made. And it's anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
And that's part of the tragedy of this movie is that it was going to be a TV movie, it was going to be a TV show episode, and then a TV movie, and then a feature film, and it was just jerked around so much. It was doomed from the word go.
When did Roddenberry just stop having ideas? Because it just seems like it's
after the first season.
Well, if you listen to David Gerald, he says, Roddenberry either what does he do? Roddenberry either screws with an alien chick or meets God. Those are his only two stories.
But it's like I mean, this is clearly like, Riker and Troy. Okay, they totally transplanted all the ideas they had for those two characters from phase 2 to I mean, Will Riker, Will Decker. Wow, that was a reach. It probably made it easy. They could just do whiteout on the old scripts, because they did reuse a bunch of those scripts. The Child in particular.
Yeah.
So the security guy had like a wrestling helmet and a cod piece that extended down below his crotch.
I think a lot of these guys got kneed in the groin. I was looking at that too, and I was like, the first instinct, if you're going to try to get away from one of these dudes, is you either hit him in the head or knee him in the groin, and they had those areas covered. That was
Ensign Perez, by the way, because they mentioned his name.
I know. I saw that. You think McCoy, who's been on the ship for 10 hours, knew every
this guy's name? Maybe they were like smuggling his Romulan ale on or something. I don't know. But
did they have? I mean, this was at the height of Starlog for me. So I remember reading about everything and them building the props. And you never saw a phaser in this.
There's not a phaser or a communicator in the movie.
Brick Price did build. The communicators were the wrist things.
The wrist things. And the communicators.
Okay. Those were the communicators.
But those tricorders were weird.
Tricorders were cool. It's sort of cool. It was sort of a.
And if you look
like
at Annie,
T-shaped
if you look at Annie Probert's original design, that T-shape folded up into the thing. Like,
like
the original three-quarters did. Yeah, Annie Probert. Yeah,
Admiral Probert. Yes.
But I do love I like that phaser design. I thought it was cool. We saw it in Wrath of Khan. Yeah. But I remember the whole story about them making those for the thing, but we never saw them.
This was the first time that I really felt like this was a finished film. But the scene where they dock and they get out the top of the ship and walk on to go to V'ger, that looked so amazing. I thought that was
all new. That's all new. That's all new.
No, it's one of the best effects in the movie.
It's been before.
And then when they did the reverse shot where you saw over the top of the Enterprise towards V'ger.
Yeah, it looked much more, because I remember thinking like, where are they and where they, what's going on? You didn't get the sense. It was too muddled.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is I got to visit the shop when they were building Beeger. And they were working. They had just finished shooting that sequence with the all the little hexagons that appear to go up the Enterprise. So I've got a couple of those hexagons that are cast out of plaster.
Like, you're saying from the new one or from the original?
No, from the original in '79.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't you have that?
Well, I want to see those next time, Brian.
Those are obsolete because they're not in the movie anymore.
They're in the original.
They're still props from the original movie.
Yeah, they're still in the movie.
The only Gene Roddenberry would put a hot bald chick in a micro robe, right? I mean, and make her a space probe, right? I mean, that's so Roddenberry.
That's very Roddenberry.
Yeah. Yep.
When I was on the studio to see the movie, they have a building there named the Roddenberry Building now. It's by the pool, the parking lot. They flood for the pool, and I thought I was going to sneak over there and see it, but oh no, they had security guards at every point, walking to the parking lot and walking back to make sure nobody strayed into the lot.
Oh, that's funny.
I really wanted to go see the Roddenberry Building.
One thing I thought was really bizarre was in the first 20 minutes of the movie, when I guess it's when Kirk and Scotty are leaving, they get in their pod and they pull away from the station. The outside wall, so the space exposed wall, said office level on the outside of. I was like, why would that be there?
Because you got to know where you're going to dock.
Office level.
Yeah. I don't want to dock at the bathroom
level.
Just
have numbers
level. I want to dock at the office level.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
This is also the first time that we actually see the modern Klingons, right? With the turtle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And interestingly, we see Klingons before we see anything, including Klingon ships, including the Klingons themselves. They didn't start with the known. They started with the that kind of. Yeah, and
that's Mark Leonard, by the way, completing the triumvirate of all the major aliens of Star Trek. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know it's an obvious thing, but the Jerry Goldsmith music, I know that I don't think they remastered any of the music, but it just sounds so great.
The entire soundtrack was remastered in.
Really?
Yep, the whole thing was done in Atmos. They redid the entire soundtrack.
Well, I noticed that. Right. I mean, the total. I mean, the little background like announcements on the PA speakers and all the little things and all the side conversations going on. Listening to it on an Atmos system in my house, it sounded incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave, if you picked up on any of that in yours, but
I will say that looking at this version, you get a lot more sense of production design. For sure. And there are certain things in here. It's like, why was it okay to work in engineering? Okay. A plain old set of uniforms, but now you need a radiation suit. What were these guys being exposed to on the old Enterprise?
The transporter too. Do you know there's a transporter? And I remember reading about that. The transporter's now behind glass. The operator's behind glass because by the way, there's transporter.
It's like, hey, they used to do check X-rays with the doctor standing in the room, right? Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
You go back from the 5-year mission and say, by the way, you're all sterile.
Yeah, right.
Like, the other thing that just struck me.
We meant to tell you this, but here's a good thing. We've now got some new suits for you.
The other thing that struck me is you're 7 years past original series, right? Because a 5-year mission, and then they said they were in dry dock for 2 years refitting the Enterprise. So all of Starfleet completely changed their uniforms in the 2 years they got back.
I would say in the year 5,
and then comic, again for Spock for the
right
in the year 5 comic that's running right now. I think it just wrapped up. They did when they come back from their 5-year mission. They've already changed, so everybody else has already got the new uniforms.
Oh, they're the wrong.
They have the motion picture uniforms.
They already get the motion picture uniforms.
Yep.
So. And so they have like one last little mission they do. They don't change their uniform. So that I found that was a good way of doing that. And also everything is now gray and kind of matte.
I don't know if it's because I read in that article about the ADR replacement and everything, but I felt like the acting was better in some scenes. Like, and I don't have a strong memory to compare it to, but
I do remember some of the Shatner stuff was a little over the top.
It was bad, and my God!
But did this seem better to you, Dave, or no? Same.
I just remember some of the. I mean, I just sitting there watching. I'm like, here. I know what's coming up. Here comes a real big overacting scene when Bones comes on. I need you, Bones.
I need you, Bones.
I need
It's
you.
like, so this is the thing, okay? If you don't have any previous orientation to Star Trek, why would you write Shatner as overacting in every single scene if you really did? If that wasn't like,
I don't think you're writing that. That's not on the page.
You really don't think? No. You think every one of those things was just like it was just that's just him on
those lines could have been delivered more subtly.
I got to say that the "I need you" Bones scene got a chuckle in the theater.
Oh yeah,
it's a little much.
A little chuckle ran through the theater. Yeah.
But he kind of needed everybody. I'm sure. Like later on, he was trying that line on like Ensign Rand or Commander Rand, whatever. You know, I need you, Janice.
Again, maybe I'm completely just enamored with the way it looks, but it really felt to me like I felt like I understood. Like the character moments were better. I felt like I understood the motivation. Like I remember watching it as a kid, just being bored because it was slow. But I'm older now, and I feel like I understood like more of Kirk's motivation.
Well, they put scenes back in that made it make more sense. I mean, Leonard Nimoy hated this movie because they cut the crying scene when he feels sad for V'ger, and they put it back in again.
Anyway.
And it really hammers home the whole Spock arc versus V'ger arc of the movie.
Yeah. I totally don't remember the Kolnar metal drop. The Kolnar.
Oh, really? I distinctly remember
that. Was harsh.
Yeah.
But then
I don't remember.
So he gets it anyway.
Yeah, he just.
But I distinctly remember.
I just spent 3 years trying to earn this thing, and they just threw it in the dirt.
Yeah, that was pretty.
One of the Klingons, and this was a really random thing that you mentioned Logan's Run. The outfit they had him in, I immediately thought of Box from Logan's Run.
No, you mean the Vulcans?
Yeah. I said
yeah.
He was in this very angular, like giant, like draped thing, and I'm like, it looks like Box.
I enjoyed it
so much more.
I enjoyed it because
Barry, my friend Max, who worked in the industry and worked on later Star Trek, this is his favorite Star Trek film.
I don't know if I'd say that. He says
it's because it is Star Trek the motion picture. It's the one Star Trek movie that looks like a major motion picture, not a TV show blown up.
Okay,
it looks like a movie.
There's so much more to it, I do, even at the time, and certainly now, millions of years later, the TV series is very small and very tight, and this just opened up everything in the production design, and as much as the costumes are crazy, like this was a big budget. This is what it should have been. I mean, these guys are wearing freaking velour shirts that have been dry cleaned so many times they don't even fit them anymore, and now here they are, and they've got all these costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is I expected Todd to come back and say that he had a new appreciation and a new love for this movie after seeing it again, and that clearly is not the case.
Here's the thing, Barry. Think about the things that I really dislike, okay? And they're very closely connected to the things that I very much like, okay? So, like, I can't stand Iron Man 2, okay?
Which makes no sense.
Do not like this movie. I will never like this movie.
But you like these slow burn things
certain elements from it.
Bore the hell out of the rest of us.
Batman and Robin is an abomination, okay? It's like certain things that, like I said, because when you know what it can be, how well it can be done, and you have something like this, and again, they have all the tools in the box for this thing to have made this really good. They had the production values, again, everything's incredible in this. And they told a slow, boring story. And like I said, it just doesn't.
But they totally botched this 43 years ago.
On $1.25, and it's amazing.
But I feel like they botched this 43 years ago, and it's unfortunate that it took this long to finally put it back and make it as right as it can be. I'm not saying I think it's a great movie, but I feel like this was this is the best version of it, clearly, that I think we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
No question of that.
It transcends the bad story to me, because I mean, this is also, even at the time, you liked Star Trek since, for me it was early 70s. And as a kid, it took 5 years to get a new Star Trek. So it was, a whole big deal. And then, I still looking at it here. It just is like, this is like, they treated Star Trek the right way in not so much the story, but they put a lot into it. They made the ship, and they made the crew was there. There's just a lot to it that's like appreciation for Star Trek, despite a story that's not really good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, it's like, oh, I'm this super machine, it's totally advanced, but there's some dirt on a sign, so I don't know what my real name is. I mean, like, seriously? You couldn't see the other letters under your smudge of space dirt? I mean,
I was also really surprised I had forgotten about the headband. Like, that's the thing that they're going to get Ilea to remember where inside,
hey, when you're a bald chick, there's certain things that are very meaningful.
That's right. That's right.
That headband is one of them, I guess.
Will Smith, don't.
Yes,
I wasn't talking about you.
I was waiting for the segue to that.
All I could think of was Jada Pinkett Smith. No.
Yeah. Okay. So again,
if he had done an Ilea joke, nobody would have got it.
I think this is the best this movie will ever look, short of them complete. I mean, just yeah. I just, like I said, there's certain things wrong with this movie that I personally can't transcend. I think they did a wonderful job with it. But what are the best two things about this film?
Well, the Enterprise fly-up sequence is brings me to tears. Seeing on the big screen, it was just incredible. The paint job on that ship. Oh.
The two best things about this film to me are the two most enduring things, and it's the refit of the Enterprise, that scene included, and the score.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's funny how
we were saying this a few weeks ago, that theme has become the Star Trek theme.
It has.
Yeah.
It has.
You hear that those are the first Jerry Goldsmith notes, but they're so iconic, know.
And that, honestly, that ship design, if you doubt that holds up today, look at the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds. It is a lot more that ship than it is the original series Enterprise. The design cues from that it did a phenomenal job with that. And it just, like I said, some of the, and I will concede this. I spent 2 years telling everybody that they were totally going to forget about Star Wars when they finally started the Star Trek movie. And I still got to get over that.
But maybe there's some additional baggage.
I was like, Star Wars is okay. It's good. But wait till you see the Star Trek movie.
I felt the same way.
Well,
all right, so
that's maybe preventing you from.
I had arguments in 1979 with friends who said The Black Hole was better than this movie.
Oof.
And that is not the case.
Wow.
Yeah. The first time
that's rough.
I heard about Star Wars,
and some of those friends worked on this movie.
I remember reading in Starlog, there's going to be a Star Trek movie. And I was like, oh my God, there's a Star Trek movie. This is like 1976 or when they just the rumblings of things. Yeah. And my brother's like, there's a new movie coming out. And he showed me the Star Wars comic that had came out before the movie. And it's like, this thing is coming out. And that was like, what's that? And that was, it was a long time coming until any Star Trek came out.
So one of the things, and I will give credit for this, is they didn't Star Wars this movie. Okay, this does not feel like a Star Wars. They didn't change direction. They didn't. Okay, I think he was still fixated on 2001, and I think there's a lot more 2001 influence in this movie than there is anything else that I can think of, in terms of design, in terms of aesthetics, in terms of how things work and flow, and it's probably more realistic in that sense, like the movement things and that sort of thing. But it's and that I honestly think probably is the thing that was. Well,
Douglas Trumbull's the one who came in and saved the movie, right? Apogee fell down. The effects were terrible, and Douglas Trumbull came in. The guy who did 2001: A Space Odyssey,
right? But that's what I'm saying. But is what. But I'm saying. But still, in terms of that's later, okay? But I'm saying in terms of design and whatnot, this is a lot more of that universe than Star Wars or something else. This is it's a very clean, very sterile sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe Alien came out the same year as this movie.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this: I had, until I knew that this was coming out, I had no plans to go back and revisit this movie anytime soon. I'm really glad that this exists, and because I remember even saying, like, of all the movies, why even go back and try to fix this one? I mean, we talked about this like when we first heard that this was coming out. I'm very glad that this exists because this isn't a movie I'm going to put on 12 months from now maybe, but if I want to watch it again, this is the version. Like this, it improved it by so much. So much about it is so much better that I actually felt like I enjoyed the movie this time. And I think every other time I've watched it, I've just felt like it was a slog.
Yeah.
You
can watch the first half hour of this movie every day.
I still think it's a slog. I think it's a pretty slog. I think they made it look as good as they possibly could. I still think if you shave 25 minutes out of this movie, it would be a much better movie.
Okie dokie. Let's keep moving because we are.
One last thing about the end scene of the movie. Famously, all of us remember when we saw this in the theater that Spock and McCoy's jackets changed.
They wore each other's jackets. They finally fixed that.
They accidentally put on each other's jackets. They fixed it. Yeah,
I'm just assuming they went to an alternate cut. You think?
No. He just changed the color of the tabs.
Yeah,
but they didn't fit right either. I distinctly remember that. So I think they literally put on each other's coats, and Spock is taller, and McCoy's looked like it was hanging on him.
I'm going to have to ask him about that again because I asked him, you fixed that, right? So, yeah, we fixed that, but
I'm curious if it's an alternate take.
Maybe it's an alternate take.
Because I definitely remember.
Put it this way:
it didn't
it's
fit
like,
right.
You look at the Marvel movies; most people aren't wearing the costumes that they're wearing.
They can do anything now.
This is not a big lift, okay?
And I was looking for that in this. Did they leave that in?
And going back to the costumes for a second, I like the away mission jackets. I think that was that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that actually harkens back to the cage, and what they wore in the cage but it works. It made a whole lot of sense.
I just hate that color. It's like tan.
It's like it's one of the things that that was one of my things at the time. I mean, I associated Star Trek with bright colors, and and it's just, and you get in there, and it was this monochromatic color palette.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, even though the Wrath of Khan jackets, which I don't think we saw a ton of, those are pretty wild,
but also very nautical. Okay.
Yeah.
They went very much more for. But I think
I'm saying the away mission jacket,
right? Oh yeah,
right, the big.
And we'll get into that. But if McCoy's the only one that comes in that, I don't know if I want the McCoy in that. Anyway, okay, let's go. So while we're seeing all this, there was this. So X06 we talked about. I just had in the First Contact Picard a couple weeks ago in What's in the Box.
X06 is the company that now has the license to make 1/6 scale Star Trek figures.
Yeah, and they just announced a ton of stuff, and it all looks awesome.
Yeah,
I've never seen a company. I don't think other than in the old days of Toy Fair, where a toy company would announce their entire product line in one shot. I can't remember a company announcing this much product in one weekend.
Okay.
Well, it certainly was the right weekend.
These are also prototypes.
Not all of them.
No, but what I'm saying is, think of all the QMX prototypes that we saw that never went into production. Okay. I have a folder with 9 character pictures that they never went ahead and made. And so if this
and there's also, we talked about Hot Toys figures that they've shown prototypes of and never released too.
Right,
so we know that happens.
That. Okay, it's like, honestly, they didn't make more figures than they made. If they make one every quarter, okay, this is still 3 years worth of product, and they're not making one every quarter. So,
well, but I think their intention is to speed up a little bit. They showed I have a list here of 30 figures they showed.
Is it that many?
Yes.
And did you? And I only watched a little bit of it. The guy who runs X06 was on Tested, and he was showing some of them, and he said some of these are well into production.
Yeah, he said some of them are going to be going up for pre-order like imminently. All right, so I'll just run through the list real quick. Not only, so again, 30 figures were shown over the weekend.
Jesus.
Some of them had little signs in front of them because some of them there were two of, and one said set color uniforms and one said screen color uniforms.
Yeah.
So I don't, and none of us were there, so I don't know if they're testing to see which ones the attendees of the convention thought looked better, or if they're actually going to release them that way.
No, I got to think that that's like a development process thing, and they're just kind of like showing how much effort's how much they're working on this.
Right, or also just to show in costumes where they've actually got the actual costume, how different it looks on camera than it does in, once it's under studio lights. We all know that they look different. This is the infamous brown or blue, Hoth jacket thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I broke them down by series just because there's so many of them. So, and they're not in any particular order. So it's Next Generation, and we had heard about Locutus, so he'd already been announced. But they're now saying he's going to come with a Next Generation head and a First Contact head. So two different head sculpts.
Which is not necessary. Locutus isn't even really in First Contact, other than like a flashback.
There's like a nightmare kind of sequence.
Right,
yeah.
But he's older, so they are going to go include both. Yeah. It also looks like, and I don't know if it was just decoration or they might actually release that regeneration chamber as an accessory, because they had that there too. They also have LaForge, Riker, and a new Picard from Next Generation. So sort of the regular with the regular jacket, not the First
the suede jacket.
Yeah, the suede jacket. All right, from Star Trek: The Motion Picture, they showed the Admiral Kirk costume from the movie we were just talking about. I love that costume. Spock with the poncho.
I may have to get those too.
Those both looked excellent, I have to say.
Because it's funny, they don't have any of these gray costumes so far, and I want something in one of those costumes. But I would get that 2-pack. Not that it's a 2-pack.
I think I would get them both. Then it seemed like they had Star Trek 2, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and Star Trek 3, Kirk, Spock, and Krug, the Klingon, which is Christopher Lloyd. And that figure looked great. And that one actually had some rooted hair going on, too, to give it that.
The close-up on that picture. Now, if it's Kirk and Spock in the red uniform and McCoy comes in the away jacket, I think I need all three.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I don't think anyone else wore the away jacket. Although, did Kirk wear it when he was in... I don't think did he wear the away jacket?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He totally did.
Okay, so next they had, from Deep Space Nine, they had a Cisco, which I think is coming out very soon, and they had a Quark figure.
Mm.
From Discovery, they had Burnham, Saru, Pike, and Empress Giorgio. Now, I don't feel like I need Empress Giorgio, and honestly, I would much rather have a Pike from Strange New Worlds rather than that version with the asymmetrical collars and whatever.
I would bet that's what we're ultimately going to see.
Yeah, or I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll do both. From Enterprise, they had Archer, and he comes with Porthos, a dog, so I know Todd's going to buy that one.
I'm going to buy that one.
From Voyager, they showed 7 of 9, and I think she's actually very close to production because they were talking about her in that tested video.
I don't remember that red outfit. That was not... She was the silver outfit, the brown outfit, and the blue outfit. The red
burgundy.
was not...
It was a burgundy.
It's burgundy, yeah.
I haven't seen this one, but she had a burgundy color outfit also. The silver one is the hot one now.
So, yeah. And then they also had Tuvok figure from Voyager.
Tuvok looks good, but I don't need Tuvok.
Well, I don't need him either. But
I need 2 Vics. Are they making 2 Vics? Or whatever his name is?
Yeah, 2 licks.
All right, last but not least, from the TOS, the original series, they had an actual Spock, which is interesting because QMX had released Spock in the just regular blue tunic, but they had one of those. They had a Mirror Mirror Sulu, and Mirror Mirror Spock's already up for pre-order. That one's been out and actually should be shipping soon.
Yep.
I'm hoping I have it pre-ordered.
Then they had Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in their menagerie uniforms with Pike in the chair, which was crazy.
Wait, menagerie uniforms?
Yeah, the from the court martial scene or whatever.
You mean like
so they're
their
the
dress
dress
uniforms?
Dress
the
uniforms.
dress uniforms.
Yeah.
Damn it, those bastards. Okay.
And then my favorite things that they showed, I think, were Pike and Spock from the cage with the Telosian. They just and
Those I
that
may have to have.
young Pike, the original series Pike, the likeness on that figure was unbelievable. I like that's 30 figures that they showed prototypes of. That's crazy.
Do you get Kirk, Spock, and wait, geez, I don't know what you get, because if you get Pike and Spock, and then you get Pike in the chair, you need Spock in the dress uniform. There's a lot you need there.
It's just mind-blowing that they showed that much merchandise. And again, like you said, Todd, prototypes, maybe some of this stuff never comes out. Maybe they release this stuff over the next 10 years. But like, it was a lot of stuff to show at a convention.
Yeah.
I mean, Hot Toys and Sideshow don't show 30 figures when they do a Star Wars Celebration
But even if this is 3 years worth of stuff, okay, I want 14 of these figures.
Yeah.
Okay, I want 14 of these figures. Never mind the ones that when they show up for pre-order, I'll be like, oh yeah, goddamn, I need that too.
Don't forget the Enterprise E chair.
Yeah,
That's right.
You know what the
That's up
problem
for pre-order
with
right
Enterprise
now.
E
Up
chair
for
is?
pre-order now.
The Enterprise E chair, it's too low. It needs.
I wouldn't
to be,
get it. I'm not.
No, but I'm
getting
saying it needs to be the same height as the original
So,
Enterprise chair.
This is a thing that they just this killed me about the movie as well. When in the original pilot, the chair was on the floor,
Yeah,
and when you stood next to him sitting down, he was looking up at everybody. So
Yeah.
for the series, they put the chair on a platform. So when Kirk is sitting down, he's looking eye level with everyone who's
Yeah.
standing up. And in the movie, they put it back on the floor again.
right. They need to.
Like,
but they
guys,
need
you
to
learned
have
this lesson once.
The Picard chair needs to be on the same level as the Kirk chair, so that you can have the two of them side by side. That would look cool.
That chair's too big, though. It takes up a
Yeah.
lot of space. I'm more excited about the figures.
So, I mean, some of us were excited, a year ago when we heard they were doing the Captain series, and we just thought we were going to get, Kirk, and Cisco and Archer and Janeway. Now it's like, forget that.
We've
so
been
many
seeing those Rathacon costumes for, it's got to
These
be
are new
5
sculpts,
years.
though. I compared the ones that Barry sent us to the pictures, the original ones. These are different sculpts, and they.
I'm just saying, but those costumes, I mean, we've not gotten those, and if they finally,
Right, QMX
there's so
teased
much
us with
to
them
those.
for years, but then they
Yeah.
never
those
released.
would be awesome. I will say that the one that I'm just there's no Uhura, and there should be an Uhura by now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, the other thing
Yeah,
that
what's
they
up with
showed
that?
for Star Trek 2, they showed that as an accessory set, the matter chamber that Kirk lifts the thing up, Spock lifts the top off of. Like, it looks like they're getting into diorama pieces too.
I was wondering whether that was like for display or whether it was just like for context and stuff like that, because it's kind of I don't know what I would spend for that thing, I mean,
It was the whole backdrop too. I mean, I do think that
the oven mitts and that thing, it's like
the oven mitts were there. They had them as the accessory.
okay, wait a minute. No, here's how you sell it. You sell it with the oven mitts, that thing, and the slightly melted Spock face. So that
it has to have the slightly melted.
Yeah.
so that he can be
face.
up against the plastic panel.
Right.
So
I hope they change
just
the
when I had
boots.
said, I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, I was just looking at the Kirk in the Admiral uniform. The boots don't look like the right color at all.
that doesn't look like final.
Yeah.
Just when I had said, I think I have all the Star Trek figures I need. Like I don't need to go even finish the full bridge crew. And now, like, there's just so many amazing figures.
Now you have
Barry,
to
how many did
occasion-
you count? How many you want here?
No, I haven't. It's dangerous.
I'm afraid.
I
to
can tell you something. And Dave and I, we were talking about this over the weekend, and then I didn't even tell you this, Dave. Last night, I ordered a Janeway figure just because I feel like now I need all the captains. And
Where'd you order it?
Jeez.
Yeah.
well, I missed out on the pre-order, obviously through Fanboy because it's already out. So I ordered it from Sideshow because I had points, so I actually got some money off on it.
I ordered one from someone else.
Because it's actually if you
Sunday
look
afternoon.
on eBay, They're $400 or $500 already on eBay.
I ordered for someone else.
Jesus.
Yesterday.
Are they already sold out, or have they
No,
even been released?
that first wave sold out. Second wave is coming in. Supposedly this
Through
month.
X06, you can't order them direct anymore. You can only order them from.
I don't think I want a
other
Janeway
retailers.
still, and I don't think I want a
didn't think
Cisco.
I needed it, but now at a minimum, I need all the captains, and then from there, I've got to figure out.
Nah, I'd rather have multiple Kirks and Spocks in all
does
the
that
Here's the thing,
things.
Dave.
Barry,
Okay.
does that extend to Discovery? All the captains?
No,
It does not.
Funnily
No,
enough,
no,
it
it
does
draw the line
not.
I'll
here.
tell you. I'd get a Lorca. I would get a Lorca. That would be the like.
If they made a Lorca, sure, I'd get
That
him.
could make the whole series for me. I was like, okay, that's good. That's what I need from Discovery.
No,
know,
I used to
don't.
love the Playmates. They'd make the Kirk and Spock in all the different 2-packs,
Yep.
and I would get, Kirk and Spock in dress, in
And you can get
mirror,
this now,
in
Dave, it's
Wrath
just
of Khan.
$400.
Yeah.
I will probably get the motion picture Kirk and Spock. I will probably
Yeah,
get it.
Me
I
too.
like that.
They look
I
amazing.
definitely
like
will
them a
get
lot.
the. I will definitely get the con. Okay, I like the dress uniforms idea. I think that's kind of cool, but that's maybe
See, the
further down
con-
the
Oh
list.
wait, I didn't even put Khan on this list because that picture came out after I made this list. So there was a Khan figure they showed too.
Yeah.
Then that's the thing. What do you get for Wrath of Khan? Do you get Kirk, Spock, and Khan? And McCoy?
I think the Pike and Spock though. That is, the Cage Pike and Spock. That'll be.
Oh, yeah.
Then do you need a Telosian, though?
You don't need the Telosian, but damn, he looked good.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we could go on and on forever, and we are. Let's go. We'll talk more about this stuff as they come out, but let's go a quick round of what's in the box because it is getting late.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Who's ready to go?
I can go.
Barry, what's in the box?
I'm gonna just text you guys a picture because it's not something I can just hold up. But I got a poster in the mail the other day that I ordered through the Disney Insiders app. Around the night of the Oscars, people were posting all these codes that Disney put out that you can put points into your Disney Insider app.
That's cool.
And when I did that, I had enough points that when they put this poster up, I was actually able to get it for free. So this is a full-size movie poster. It's a Book of Boba Fett poster. It's original artwork, but if ever a poster was made to have signatures put on it, it is this poster. Like, look at how perfectly you go to a convention, you could get, and I counted, there's like 20 people actually pictured in this artwork.
They should have left Mark Hamill off because
I'm
that just
bummed
kills
Mark
it.
Hamill's not going to Celebration. I was hoping to get him there, but he's not going.
Yeah, well, he has not signed autographs in a long time. So I'm curious if and when he ever starts again, his rate has got to be through the roof. But yeah, so I was glad I was able to get this poster. I was glad I was able to get it for free. I didn't even have to pay for shipping.
That's great.
It's nice, but it's double-sided. It's like a real deal movie poster.
Oh, that's cool.
So anyway, that's what I have. Todd, what's in the box?
Okay, because I'm not going to buy the 1/8 scale Batmobile. I got the 1/18 scale Batmobile from Jada with lights and sounds. Theoretically, I've not figured out how to make it make noise yet. But what's really
I
cool
like
is
the lights on that. That's cool.
the lights are great, and the lights are actually activated by the driver's door, which is really
Yeah, that's
cool.
cool.
Instead of having to like reach under it to get a switch or something, and it's just badass. It looks great. So it did a really nice job with this, and
That is
theoretically, it makes sound. And again, it came with yet another Batman figure who is not quite the right color. So,
No.
anyways, but,
And is it like the other Jada figures where he's not posable either? He's just a
he's
stat,
not.
like
He's just a metal kind of
Yeah.
figure that I have standing alongside it. But so now I've got this in 1/24 scale and 1/18 scale, and I think I'm going to draw the line there until there's a 1/6 scale. And but yeah, I think
and there will be.
I think I might
there will
content
be.
myself with the motorcycle though. That is, I got to say, if you look at this in proportion to him, and this is pretty correct, that would be freaking gigantic in
That's a big car.
in 1/6 scale.
Oh yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
bigger than a tumbler. The bigger than a tumbler is. So, but probably a lot more like the '66 Batmobile. So,
Long. Yeah.
so, Dave, what do you got?
Okay, I have, and Barry, I think we've talked about this. I have a soldering iron. This is one that Adam Savage recommended. It's called a smart soldering iron. I don't know a couple different companies make the same thing. This is Miniware, but it's basically a USB plugs in with a USB-C into a thing, and you could regulate the temperature really easy. It heats up super quick. I've only had the old school, soldering irons, and I've used this one. It's like going from, a hammer and chisel to like an electric drill or something. It's just so much more sophisticated and
is it wireless when you use it, or does it have to be plugged in to use it?
It's not wireless. It is wired.
It's not wireless.
Yeah.
It is wired.
You can. I have seen people plug it into a battery pack. As opposed to the wall.
That's too bad, because you could totally see that in it, like the Rolly kit of the torture instruments.
It's good for electronics, obviously, because it's so pointy and stuff. But it's got this whole digital readout and stuff. So it's these things. I've got the old Radio Shack one it's hot, very hot. That's about it. This is much more.
I have used.
What does something like that cost, Dave?
These are not cheap. They're like between $70 and $85. Okay. It was a gift, so
I've used rechargeable soldering irons before. They're never any good.
Yeah, they do have some that run off like a gas or something. They're just not. Yep. Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
But yeah, so I'm happy with that. So there you go. And Brian, what's in the box?
So what's in the bag? So found this guy on Facebook, and Dave might recognize these.
Oh yeah, are those the switches for
the switches for the captain's chair?
See, I recognize them.
This guy casts them in color. So
I emailed with this guy.
Yeah, they're not painted; they are cast in color.
Wow!
So they won't wear off, and they're super nice. The original Switch mechanics. And they're really, really great.
Is that on your list of projects?
Yes, Captain's Chair. I now have all the parts.
Really, it's on the list of my projects, but I just don't. I'm nowhere near down the road like you are.
I have a full wooden kit in my attic.
Nice,
interesting. Well, I can't wait to see that built.
Yeah, that'll be built.
Yeah,
that's on the way.
Cool.
So that's what was in the bag.
That was a lot of show. I'm pretty sure. It's hard to tell how long this has been, but do we know what we're doing next week? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yes. May the 4th is coming up. We're going to do something about that. We got to talk about that.
I got to say, I have found a couple of new shows that are very interesting. Have been very interesting. So maybe we'll
do shows. Which we do a lot. Yeah. But
a couple of really good things on Apple TV right now, or Apple Plus right now. So
okay. Any last thoughts? I'm going to ask, and no one has a last thought.
I don't have one this week.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Always love to get your
anytime. It's a lot of fun.
Insight, is because you always come up with something like, oh yeah, I just happen to have freaking things from the shoot, Yeah. But it's always good to hear that.
If you have 4 of those, we would each gladly take one off your hands.
I don't know how many. I have to go find them. They're in a
particularly now that they're really not relevant anymore. So
yeah, they are. Okay, you'll love this. They are in a little box with the little spaceships that fly inside the mothership inside of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind special edition, which I snagged a couple of those. I snagged a couple of those too while I was there. Yeah,
why wouldn't they be? Of course not. Anyway, we'll
it's like an onion. That. We just keep peeling back layers.
Yes, there's a lot to peel back, which is always exciting because it's always something.
We like them. One of the reasons, anyway.
Exactly.
It's one of the reasons he's special.
Yeah.
Special. I'm special.
Exactly. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.